you guys. Welcome back to Lily Reads. Happy Halloween, you guys. I feel like this month went by pretty quickly, but we are at the end of it, which is sad. October is my second favorite month of the year. My favorite month of the year is December. I love December, but my second favorite month of the year is October, and I want to end this month reading witchy books. Now, here is the thing. I don't know if I like witchy books. I put witchy books with like haunted house books. I have liked one or two, but more likely than not, I'm not gonna gravitate towards witchy books. And then the ones that I have read, the ones that like stick with me, are the ones I don't really enjoy very much. A witchy book has to toe that line of being like a little silly to me, but also being like very like plot heavy, a little. Like, I want a good plot, but I also want some silliness. I don't want it to be too serious. I actually think when it comes to like supernatural type of things, when books get a little too serious, that's when they kind of lose me a little bit, because I find it all to be kind of ridiculous a little bit. It's so funny that like I am a very whimsical girl. I consider myself someone very whimsy, but like supernatural is where kind of my whimsy gets a line drawn. Like, I'm not big on fairies, mermaids, witches, werewolves, vampires. Like, I don't like any of that stuff, which is so strange, because you would think the type of girl that I am, I would like that type of stuff, but I've never liked that stuff even as a kid. Like, the supernatural has never really intrigued me. So I am going to read some witchy books, and these are books that were already on my bookshelves, books that I already picked up on my own, but I want to get to them. Now, will I get to all of them? Only time can tell. You guys can go to the end of this video and see if I made it through all of them. Me in this very moment, I don't know. I haven't even started on any of them. But the first book we are going to read, and I know we're going to finish in this video, is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Now, I will say this. Even if I like this book, I don't know if I'm going to read the sequel of this book. I know there's a sequel that came out this year, and I probably wouldn't go to a sequel of this book, but I always wanted to see what this book was about, because so many people enjoyed this book. Now, I am kind of curious, did I kind of just miss the train on this one? This was kind of a book that came out during that time where everybody was into cozy fantasy. We're kind of out of that era now. People don't really talk about cozy fantasy very, very much. So maybe this was just a sign of the times, and like it ain't actually that good, but I will find out. Another book that I really want to read is The Witchery by S. Isabel. I don't know what this book is about, but I see all of these girls and they look like they're part of a witch's coven, and that just seems like something that I want to read. It's not a very dense book, so I hope I'm able to get to it by Halloween day, because that's when this video is going to go up. And then I'm going to pick this one up on audio, so I know I don't have to read all three of these physically. I am going to pick this one up on audio because it's available at my library, and that is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. I have had this book on my bookshelf for so many years. For so many years, I have had this on my bookshelf, and it is going to feel really, really good to read a book that I have had for a long time, because it's been a while since I read like a really, really backlist book. When did this book come out? This book came out in, let's see, 2021. So this book is 4 years old. So it is time for me to get to this book, okay? I will talk to you guys when I have some thoughts on our first book, which is going to be The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, okay? guys, I'm here to give initial updates on the very secret society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. So, in this book, we are following a witch in particular by the name of Mika Moon. Mika Moon is a witch. She is about 40 years old, 30, 40 years old, and she is one of about 20 witches that are known. And basically, in this world, there aren't many witches, not witches that are known, and witches are not protected. They are not loved. So they have to kind of keep their identity a secret, and witches can't really be around one another as it'll bring suspicion to who they are. So all of these witches live their own lives. All of them are orphans, because that's kind of the lore of this world. Like, most witches don't have parents. And so Mika, every I think month or something, she meets up with these witches, and basically they hang out and talk to each other. But like, they tell people it's book club. They tell people it's book club, but really it's for all of them to kind of get together and be witchy together. And there's a leader of all of these witches. There's a woman who, I think her name is Phoenix. What's her name? Anyways, stay with me. She kind of raised Mika. Mika wasn't really raised by her parents. I told you she was an orphan, and she had all types of like nannies and babysitters and stuff like that. But something happened as to which everyone who knew her as a child, their memory had to be wiped. So she doesn't really have anyone who knew her as she was young, except for this one like witch woman. And that's kind of made Mika be really lonely throughout life. She's not really able to have relationships with people because her life comes with a lot of deceit. She has to lie to people about who she is as a person. Well, in order to get some community, in order to get some type of life, she does a YouTube channel. She starts a YouTube channel, and she basically pretends to be a witch on YouTube. And that takes our book to another group of people. There are this group of people. It's two housekeepers, a husband of one of the housekeepers, and a librarian. They all live on this manor, and they take care of 3 kids who are the adopted children of a witch. And these kids are also witchy. And so one day, one of the people who work at this manor is like, I think this woman is really a witch. Mika has this YouTube channel, and he's watching the YouTube channel. He's like, I genuinely think she's a witch. We need to bring her in and see if she can help teach our witchy little children who we take care of the witch ways, teach them how to control their power. So they bring Mika in, and they asked Mika, would she like to move in and teach these kids? And after a long deliberation, not that long, but after she sees the kids, they remind her of herself when she was young and how she didn't have community because she was a witch. There wasn't a lot of people who, were able to teach her the ropes. She's like, I want to teach them. I want to guide them. I want them to have a better life than I had. And so this starts our journey of the very secret society of Irregular Witches, where she is basically trying to teach these 3 little girls their witchy ways. And there's also some romance in there as well with the librarian who's in this manor. The witchy woman, she's not around. She's an archaeologist, and she's always gone. She's always gone, and she doesn't really take care of any of the kids. So she's just never there. She's never around. But other than that, that is what's going on. How do I feel about this book? I will start by saying I do think I'm pleasantly surprised by the tone of this book. I thought this book would be a little bit more whimsy, a little bit more like tongue-in-cheek, a little bit like funny, corny. That's not really this book. This book has a very somber undertone, dealing with the fact that Mika never really had family. She never really had anyone who cared about her. She's really lonely. And also these children growing up, them being lonely, they don't even have their adopted mother, and they also don't have their real mother, and they're trying to learn about life. I'm enjoying that somber tone. It's a way to, like, I think when I don't like witch stories, because I told you earlier, I find them to be a little bit cheesy. I think this having a more somber tone is really working for me because it feels a little bit more serious, but it's not too supernatural, too witchy to the point where like it's taking me out of it. So I'm really enjoying the tone of this book. I will say there's no real like plot in this book so far. Where I am in this book, which is not too far in, there's no real plot of this book. Like, she's teaching the girls their witchy ways, and she's giving us all these internal thoughts that she's having, and all that is fine and cool. Like, if it continued down this road, I would probably give this book 3.5 stars and call it. But like, I am waiting for like the call to action. The thing, like right now where we are in the book, she's about to take the girls to their first bookstore because they've never been to one, and like that's interesting, but like I'm like, what's going to happen when we're there? And there's also a lot of secrets. So these people who work at the manor, they're not everything that they have said they are. Like, they're clearly keeping some type of secret. What's going on with this witch woman who took them in? There's a lot of secrets going on, and I'm ready to uncover those secrets. So I will say, so far in this book, I am enjoying myself well enough. This won't be a 5-star read. I know very quickly when I'm reading a book if it's going to even touch 5 stars. It's not going to touch 5 stars. It's not going to be my favorite book of the year. It won't even be my favorite book of the season. But I am enjoying this more than I thought I would. And I am happy I got my hands on it. But I'm still trying to feel my way through this one. But it is enjoyable thus far. So yeah, I do think it's still one of those things where like, would I read the sequel? I don't know. I think the characters have to grow on me a little bit more. I'm not really feeling the manor people who work at this house with her. They're not as endearing as I think maybe they are to other people. They're not that endearing to me. So like, I think I gotta wait for them to kind of grow on me a little bit. Oh, I also like this book jumps POVs. That's kind of been my favorite thing this year. When a book doesn't have like set chapters dedicated to people, but we jump POVs. I've seen that a lot in books I've read this year, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy like these sudden jumps into another person's mind, even though the book is following one person. S.A. Cosby just did it with King of Ashes. I like that. That's a narrative structure that I really enjoy. But anyway, I'm going to keep on reading, and I'll talk to you guys when I finish this. And hopefully I come and can be like, ooh, it's a 4-star, but I got to keep on going, okay? Peace. Guys, I am here for my first reading wrap up. I was able to finish the very secret society of Irregular Witches, and I am going to say that I truly do not believe I am a cozy fantasy type of girl. I just find the books to be like just, reading for reading, and I like a plot. I don't know how to explain to people, like, it's characters and plot for me. Like, I just don't love following characters around doing absolutely nothing, even if the characters are interesting. And I also don't just like a heavy plot, and I don't give a damn about the characters. Like, they just have to go toe to toe. And so when it comes to like cozy fantasy, it's always about like being in the world, being with these people. And so I have to really like put myself in the mindset like, Kenya, nothing's going to happen in this book. You are just here for a good short time. And if I'm able to see it that way, this book was cute enough. I'm going to give this book 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the romance part of this book the most. I love like a very serious love interest in a book. I love it. I love kind of an uneasy, unsettling type of woman. Like, you know, everybody doesn't really like her. I like that type of person with the very serious type of man. That's now whimsy serious is my favorite dynamic, but like I wouldn't say, what's her name, Mika, I wouldn't say Mika is whimsy, but she's kind of like unsettling. People just don't know what to make of her, and her being with this Jamie character and him being very serious, very direct, I really liked it. And the banter between, not banter, but the connection between the two of them I thought was really good. I also think the level of spice mixed with the type of book this is was also really, really good. It wasn't smutty, but it also wasn't PG. I thought that was done really well. So altogether, I think this book is really well done. I wish that the characters kind of just had more to do in the book, which is how I feel about every single cozy fantasy. I wish the characters just had more to do, but that's not what this type of book is about. And I can't judge a book on what it didn't do. I can just judge a book on what it did do. And what it did do was everything I think you want in this type of book. And I'm actually going to go a step further. I'll read the sequel of this. The way everything ended in this book, I will read the sequel. This book also had some mystery elements. Of course, I was able to guess pretty much all of them, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it well enough, and so I'm going to give this book 3.75 stars, and I think this is probably the most I could enjoy a cozy fantasy. I'm sorry, you guys. I feel like 2025 is the year of you guys finally seeing, like, I'm not lying when I say fantasy is just not my thing. Like, I am reading the best of the books that you guys say are in this genre, and I'm not loving none of them. I'm not loving any of them because I'm being honest. Fantasy just isn't, it doesn't scratch that itch in my brain the way it does for other people. But this was enjoyable. Do not take my 3.5, maybe 3.6 rating of this book as a bad thing. This book is really enjoyable, and I would recommend everyone read this book because it's really, really enjoyable. It just got to have a little bit more going on for me to just be like, oh, that was fantastic. But anyways, we're going to move on to our next book. And our next book is going to be The Witchery. The thing I'm looking forward to the most in reading these three type of witchy books is like the different lore that goes into each witch world. I will say when it comes to reading fantasy books about witches, I think witches do the best job at setting up the rules of their world. I think when you're dealing with other types of fantasy and other type of supernatural characters, they bend the rules to whatever they want it to be. Whatever the scene needs, they bend the rules. But I feel like with witches, it's the most set. Like when a book starts itself and it tells you the rules of the world, they pretty much are set in stone, and the book does a good job at keeping those rules solid. So I think when it comes to witches, of all the supernatural characters, I like the world building more. Yeah, I will say this. I enjoyed this book more than any book in the Emily Wilde Encyclopedia of Fairy series. I cared about these characters more than anybody in that series. So like I enjoyed this book. But anyway, we're going to move on to this book, and I will talk to you guys when I have initial thoughts. We're also going to make a chili. We're going to make a chili because I have to use my pot. But yeah, let's do it. Guys, I'm here to give some initial thoughts on The Witchery because I have made it to page 70 of this book. And tell me why I did not notice that, number one, this is a Black author. Isabella is Black. Isabel is Black. And this book is about 3 black witches, and then there's this white girl who's also in the story. So let me tell you how this book starts. We start off with our white girl, actually. Her name is Logan, and Logan is from Canada, but she is going down to Florida, I believe, to go to this witch school because she just wants to get out of her world and go to this new witch school. So that's where she is. Her mom is very protective. Everyone tells her not to go to this witch school, but she's like, no, I want to go. Well, when she goes to this witch school, there are 3 witches at this school. They're called the Red something or the 3 something, whatever. And it's these 3 black girls, and they are the talk of town. Everybody at this witch school, everyone looks to them, thinks they're so fab, so amazing. And one day she gets a note to go hang out with these 3 girls. So these 3 girls take her on this like little scavenger hunt thing, and they're basically trying to initiate her into their little like kind of witches coven. And from that, we realize that Logan is not very comfortable with her magic. She has a very special kind of magic, and she doesn't even know what her capabilities are, but she also doesn't really want to find out because she's not very good at it. And so she's just like, I don't know about this whole magic thing, but she wants to hang out with these girls. So she's like, I'm down for whatever y'all down to do. And so then we quickly meet our next witch, which at this point, I have forgotten names, so I'm going to Iris. We get to Iris. Iris, I think, is the most important one because Iris can talk to the dead. She can talk to the dead, and she can talk to souls. And she has a mission. She has a mission that she wants to meet this thing called the Wolf Boy. Okay, so this town that they live in is a witch town. Everybody knows it's a witch town, but it is a witch town that has witch people and it has normal people. Well. Back in the day, there were 3 witches, and these 3 witches put a hex on this town, which means that these wolves come into this town and take people and kill people. So our girl Iris, she wants to find this wolf boy because she believes the wolf boy can, cure the haunting. They call it the haunting. And we are a few weeks out from the haunting when the wolves come into town and take people. They have taken someone that Iris knows, so this is very near and dear to her heart. So she is trying to, conjure up spells in order to be able to find this boy. And so then we move on to our next witchy girl. So the next person is Thalia. Thalia, she kind of just talks to plants. We don't know all too much about her just yet, but we know that she talks to plants. And then we meet this black boy. This black boy is not a witch, but this black boy's mother was a witch, and she went missing, and Trent wants to figure out why his mom went missing and what's going on with all that. So Trent is in the story some way, and he wants to get to the root of like what's going on in this witchy town and what happened to his mother. Trent has a friend named Matthew. They go to this boarding school for boys, rich boys, and Matthew is a rich white boy. Matthew is important is because Matthew found a family heirloom that he wants to give over to the witches so it can keep the haunting away. They do sacrifices, and he wants to sacrifice this thing, like offering. He wants to offer up this family heirloom. But one day he has the heirloom in his pocket, and he goes to a Halloween party, and he runs into Iris. He doesn't know Iris, but he runs into Iris, and there's a connection they have. It seems like a tethering between them, and Iris notices very quickly. Matthew wants nothing to do with witches. He just wants the haunting not to come, but he doesn't care about witches. But Iris is like, I might need this boy for my bigger journey. So you have Trent and Matthew who are normies, and they need witches for their own like stuff. Trent has a connection with the witches. Trent mom is a witch, and Matthew has a connection with the witch. Is there anything else? Yes. We have one more witch, and it's Jalea. Jalea is the most powerful of the witches thus far because she has the most control over her witch ways. She is like, a try-hard teacher's pet, and she is able to like conjure things like with her mind. That's kind of what she's able to do. And she is also down for this witch journey because she's just like, she wants the glory. She is all about the glory. So Iris has the idea. Thaya, she's more so of the like go along to get along, but she's very naturey. Then you have Logan. Logan's power is the specific power that they might need to help break this haunting. So that's why she is there. And then you have Jalea because she's just like, I can handle this. And then we got our two normies on the side. That's what's going on. I know it sounds confusing, and if I have one complaint for this book so far, it has a lot going on. There's still other characters in the book as well who come in and out of the story. For 70 pages, there's a lot of damn people in this book. So you got to stay with me. But overall, the story is there's this witch town. They have a haunting over them. Wolves come into their town, take people, kill people. And our four witches want to come together and break this spell. But they might need the help of Trent and Matthew to be able to do it. That is what's going on. This town has a weird, spooky mystery afoot, and our girls are going to figure it out. This book is fun enough. It is such a book for the season. So I'm very excited to finish reading this book. And it reads pretty quickly. So yeah, I will talk to you guys when I read a little bit more, get my bearings a little bit more, get a little bit more ideas. And then yeah, peace. Hello, you guys. We are going to be making chili because this is a Halloween vlog. I feel like we should do all things fall. And so I just feel like a chili is fall, and I am going to make a chili. Now this is going to be a beef-based and bean-based chili. So if you don't like beef, get the hell out of here. If you don't like beans, get the hell out of here, because this is going to be beans and beef and with a couple of veggies. I am very excited to make this because, as you guys could see earlier in the video, I got me our place pot. This is like a pressure cooker, crock pot, just a regular old pot in one. You can pressure cook, you can crock pot things like slow cook stuff, and you can also simmer stuff at the exact same time. And so this is all I'm going to be using to make this chili. I'm going to slow cook this chili. But first I have to like saute. So you use this and you turn on the like saute thing. I'll show you guys when I start. Let me get in the frame. And yeah, we're going to use some beef stock. We're going to use some corn. And yeah, that is what I am going to do. Oh, let me tell you what beans. Let me tell you all what we're going to use. So I'm going to use ground beef, because that's honestly all. I'm guessing you could use turkey for this. I just don't like ground turkey. So I'm going to use ground beef. And then I'm also going to use some beef bacon just to get kind of that smoky taste. I don't eat pork, but the recipe does call for pork bacon. I'm going to use beef bacon. And then I'm going to use some pinto beans, dark red kidney beans, and I'm going to use some black beans. And then it's going to have some tomato paste, red onion, red bell pepper, jalapeno, some garlic. And then we are going to go in with some paprika, some chili powder, some oregano, some cumin, some Worcestershire sauce, and garlic cloves. And that's how this is going to go. So you guys can just watch me make this, because that is what I am going to do. Okay? Peace. Hello, you guys. I am here to give past middle of the way updates in this book. I'm on the 70% mark of this book. I'm reading it on my Kindle actually because I have not whipped out my Kindle in a minute and I want to change that. But anyways, I've been reading this on my Kindle and I made it to the 70% mark. So I'm almost done with this book and I am enjoying it well enough. I think this is one of those books where its worst offense is that it doesn't have enough time to do what it is trying to do. So every single chapter, we are going from witch to witch, and then we have our two non-witch main characters, those two boys I was telling you about, and there's a lot going on. And all of it gets a little bit confusing at times, understanding all of the lore that's going on in this world because this author doesn't have enough time to really throw you in to a story like this. They don't have the time to do it. You just are bombarded with all of this information, all of these characters, all these people with all of this stuff. And the book doesn't have time to spend the amount of time it needs to on every single person, everything they have going on. So it's just a lot. We have one main character, I was telling you, Trent, which he's the black boy who's a regular person. He has a mother who would almost try to kill him and she killed herself, and we just haven't gotten a lot of information about that. They brought somebody back from the dead and they're dealing with that, and all of that is kind of confusing. It's just really confusing. That's the best way to describe this book. It's good, but it's confusing. It's easy to read, and I really like the characters. I don't know if this book ever got a sequel or if there was more that happened in this world, but I really like these characters and I would read more from them. This book could just be cleaner. It could simply just be cleaner. I was telling you guys about the Talia character and what was going on with her. I told you she didn't have nothing going on. She actually does have something going on. She's on the run. And she killed someone. So she has a whole backstory. I told you Iris can bring back the dead. Jalea, she's still kind of, try hard type of girl, but she witnessed the wolves kill somebody. And then we have Logan, who is the white girl character, and I just don't really understand her purpose in this story. I feel like this story could be these three girls and be just fine. Not because I don't want books with white people. I just feel like her purpose isn't really necessary to the book. The idea of her is she's the missing piece of their quartet, and they'll be able to end the haunting, but she ain't adding that much to it to where I feel like her powers could have went to another witch and it would have been just like I said. There's too many characters going on in this book. Even with the mundanes, they call them, with Trent and Matthew, they served the same purpose. I don't understand why we need both of them. And even with the witches, they kind of all have like characters in their own little part of the story. So it's just more and more characters, and it's just like this book ain't got the time to deal with all of these characters. But I do enjoy seeing all the ladies have different sorts of magic. That's a lot of fun. And I do feel like when it comes to these witches, they all are unique. Sometimes I feel like when you're dealing with like a witches coven, they all start doing the same stuff. But like I feel like all of these witches have their own unique personalities. I do wish there were more scenes of all of the girls together. Like if we're gonna get like a quartet, let's have them quartet. You don't get a lot of scenes like that. But yeah, I just wish this book was simpler. I would like, it has such good characters and a good idea. These 4 witches coming together with 2 non-witches trying to save this witchy town. It just keeps getting in its way with all the different stuff that is going on. And then because you are hopping from thing to thing to thing, it's just like I can't even get a good, streamlined story. But anyways, that's what's going on here. I am going to finish this on my Kindle, and I will come and give you my final thoughts. We're shaping up for about like a 3, 3.5, 3. If I gave the Very Secret Society of Witches, if I gave that book 3.5, I enjoyed that book more than I'm enjoying this book. So this book would probably be between 3 and 3.5. So yeah, that's how I feel. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. I am here to give final updates on the Witchery by S. Isabel. You guys, this book was a mess. I don't even know how to say this nicely. Like, this book just needed to be edited more. It needed line edits. I just think this book is very confusing for what it is. I think that this book should have just been told in like third person, but like we didn't need a bunch of POVs. This book should have just been told third person, and we just jumped from person to person all in one POV, because it was just a lot. Reading this book was just a lot, and it gets convoluted. There's too many characters. This white girl right here is so unimportant to this book, to the point of like frustration. Like, what is she here for? This world seems to have like all types of like things that these witches do, but it's not explained to us. So therefore, everyone's motivations seem so weak or unexplained. It just didn't come together and work for me. And I really wanted this book to work. Another thing that's really odd about this book, I believe this book is a standalone book, but I don't think it matters if it is or not. There are so many things not answered in this book. Remember in the last clip, I was telling you how like there were so many things going on and so many like mysteries afoot. Yeah, most of them don't really get solved. Most of them don't really get solved. And then the epilogue of this book is like introducing another white girl to the fold. So if there's another book, and it's just like, I feel like this should just be a book about some black witches, and it's not. Another thing, this book like keeps like false starting romances. So like there seems to be like some romance afoot in this like friend group, and it keeps being a bunch of false starts. You keep thinking, oh, these characters like each other, then nothing happens, and nothing happens, and nothing happens. It just, ooh, this was a rough one for me. I think the first like 20% of this, because I read this on my Kindle, and it has percentages at the bottom. The first 20%, fine. Like, I was like, this is solid. Then once it gets to the middle of the book, it's like, okay, we need to get to the point. And I think the last 50% completely falls apart in this book. And I just think it's a matter of editing. It's not a lack of like ideas, it's not a lack of plot, lack of character. It has all of those things. It just isn't doing it to the best of its ability. So I am going to give this 2.5 stars. Just not fully for me, but it did feel very Halloween-y, and that was good. It was very of the season, and I think that is perfectly fine. So anyways, we are going to move on to our last book, and let's hope that one is a winner. Hopefully we can get like a 4-star out of this video, or ooh, maybe witches are not for me. I don't know, but I'll talk to you guys in the next clip. Hello, you guys. I want to come and show you guys my Halloween puzzle that I am going to be doing in this vlog. You guys, puzzling is such a feel-good hobby. Puzzling has been one of my favorite hobbies that I have picked up. I kind of see puzzling like I see cycling. So if you guys do not know, I like to do the bike when I do my cardio for working out, and I always thought I wasn't the person who would like exercise bikes. It never seemed like it was for me, but then I tried it and really enjoyed it. That's how I feel about puzzles as well. I always told myself I wasn't a puzzle girl. Puzzles weren't for me, but last year, towards the end of last year, I picked up doing puzzles and really enjoyed them. So my New Year's resolution this year was to do a puzzle every single month, and I have stayed consistent with that, and I just hope to get like better at them. I do 500 ones, so I started at 250 if you guys remember, and now I'm at 500. Hopefully next year I can consistently do 1,000. Like every other month I'll do 1,000. I don't know. I would like to do 1,000 puzzles next year. That's what I'm hoping. But anyway, this is the puzzle that we are going to do. It's very Halloween coded. We have ghosts, ghouls, and goblins. It's going to be a fun one. So that is what I'm going to do. And I told you guys I was going to pick up The Nature of Witches on audio because it was free from my library. So I'm going to read this via audio, and I'm going to do this puzzle. I'm going to start with this puzzle by doing the border and then going around. But anyways, I just want to tell you guys that is the puzzle that we're going to be doing. It is 500 pieces. And yeah, we're going to listen to The Nature of Witches, and I'll give you guys an update as I am getting through this. Okay, peace. As you guys can see, I have been working on my puzzle, which means I have been able to listen to The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. And let me tell you what's going on in here. So this is my third witch world, and I am very impressed. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm very impressed how when witches, of all the supernatural beings, I feel like witches has the most consistency, but also they have the most fun with it. I think fairies are the most consistent across the board, but they're not as fun. Like, I feel like once you've read one fairy book, you've read all the fairy books. Like, they're whimsy, they're lazy, but lazy in a fun way. Like, they're all about fun, and like it's the same. But I feel like with witches, a lot of it's the same, but also there's some different. So things that are the same. When it comes to witches, witches are very naturey. That's number one. Number two, witches always need some sort of mentor. There is always someone who has to teach them about their powers. Number three thing, someone is always more powerful than the next person. There's always one supreme. There's always one witch that is very, very powerful. Another thing, there is always going to be a witch that doesn't know if she wants her witch powers. And that's, witches are always in some sort of community. Witches always thrive on community. Even the ones who don't want it realize they need it. Another thing, I feel like witch stories are inherently queer. I feel like that's something they have in common with vampires, where like the more stories we get, the more like they're just always queer. That's what I'm learning in a lot of these witch stories. And yeah, so I like that setup, because if you do not know, I love books that take place in schools. I love like going to a school and learning stuff in books. So like witches are good because like you always are going to get put in some sort of like school setting, or someone's going to have to teach someone something. And that's no different in this book. Let me tell you what the nature of witches is about. In this book, witches control the season. So all of the witches have a season. So we have fall, winter, spring, summer. But as climate change has been creeping up, witches are able to control the seasons less, and the seasons have become more sporadic. Where our main character, she is a chosen one, and she has all of the power. She can control all of the seasons. Well, something happened that caused one of her friends to die, and this has made her realize like things are getting out of control, and they're getting out of control in ways she can't understand. Like every time she tries to step in, it causes someone close to her to die. So she's just like, I need to get my powers under control. So she's going to this like witchy school, and they're trying to help her control her powers. And that is where she meets her love interest. There's this boy who kind of just loves to deal with plants, because I told you witches are very into nature, but he knows a lot about witch powers, and he knows how to control witch power. So he's trying to teach her, but that's causing them to have a little bit of a relationship. But the issue with them having a relationship is everybody close to her dies. So therefore, what is she to do? What is she to do? Should she date this boy? Should she not? Also, maybe the people at this school who are supposed to be teaching her powers, maybe they're not as good as they seem. Maybe they don't actually want the best for her. But that's what is going on. And like I said, throughout the book, climate is getting worse. It is the dead of winter, and it's 110 degrees. Like, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And our main character is struggling with being the chosen one. Claire doesn't know if she should like continue being the chosen one. Like, she's thinking of like just getting rid of her witch powers altogether, because it's just too much of a burden and people are dying. Another thing that is consistent in witch stories, not really having parents. I don't know witch lore, but there's been an issue with parents in every single one of these books. There's been an issue with like either not knowing your parents, you don't have parents. So I also think that's another thing with witch stories. Also, I watched Twitches earlier, and they also like were adopted. So I think that's a common thing in witch stories. Even look at like, yeah, like even common witch stories, like people don't be having parents. I don't know. Anyways, I do wish in this vlog we read some more like evil witch stories. I haven't really dipped and dabbled into evil witch stories, but I don't have any evil witch stories, I think, on my bookshelf, and I'm not gonna go buy more books. Key don't need no more books, even though I deeply want to go bargain book shopping. Here's my recommendation, by the way. If you are someone who was thinking about buying books, it was my birthday. November is the time to buy books. We are getting towards the end of the year, and in December, mid-December, maybe even late December going into January, there's going to be a lot of half price book sales because bookstores are trying to get rid of their 2025 inventory to make room for their 2024 inventory. A lot of hardback books are coming out in paperback book next year, so they need to get rid of their hardbacks. So stop. If you're thinking about buying books, stop, because give it too much. You're not going to read them right away anyway, so what you rushing for? If you just wait, they're going to be half off in a month. So don't go buy books unless you go, use book shopping. But don't go buy no new books. The new books is going to be on sale very, very soon, unless it's like a huge bestseller. Which I don't feel like we got a bunch of huge bestsellers this year. But yeah, don't go book shopping. No. They're about to start going on sale. But anyways, that's what's going on in this book. It's fine. It is fine. I'm not enthusiastic about anything. I think the romance is the best part of this book, and it's interesting. I'm kind of curious. Okay, so like the weird school, not the weird school, but the people at the school, they seem so villainous to the point where I would actually be gagged more if they actually were good people. And so like this book feels a little simple, but I also think this book is kind of its time. This is like a 2021 COVID type of book, and if you go back and read books that were published like in 2021, they all have the same like feeling. I can't tell you what the feeling is, but they all feel the exact same way. That's why I say reading is so interesting, because when you're in the moment, you don't realize that a lot of books are written the same. But once you're out of it and you go back to read books from that time, you're like, whoa, this feels like so it's time. It's like when I go back and read a book like from like 2017, I'm like, this feels so 2017. And so like this book feels very 2021. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's very socially conscious in a way that like I don't feel like books are, even though books are more like socially conscious than ever, but it's a specific type of social consciousness that a lot of books were doing in 2021. Everything was an allegory for something, But that doesn't mean I'm disliking it. I just don't think, I think I got this book because a lot of people were raving about it in its time. And maybe 5 years ago, I too would have liked this more. But as it stands, it's just okay. It's okay. It's not bad. It's inoffensive. It reads really quickly, easy to follow. And it's a witch book. That's the thing. If you really, I'm rambling. If you really like witch books, you're going to like these books. Like, they're good. Like, they're all of these books, objectively fine books. I just don't do supernatural. So it's just like, unless you really, really giving it to me. It's almost like, and I'll talk about this as I wrap up the video because we're done at this point once I finish this. There's like elements to each book I want to all put together. Like, I think the like camaraderie family of the Witchery, I think the overall like the atmosphere of this book, the introspection of the very secret society of irregular witches, that kind of trying to find yourself thing. I want that in there. Like, all of these books have something that I just want to cram together to make one. Anyways, I will talk to you guys a little bit later once I finish this and when I finish my puzzle. I had to get to work on my puzzle. I'm going to finish my puzzle in the morning. I'm going to wrap this video up, and yeah, Halloween. Peace. guys, and happy Halloween. You're probably not watching this video on Halloween, but just in case you are, happy Halloween. We have finished 3 books in this week because I was able to finish The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. And I am going to say that it is not fair for me to rate this book. I read young adult. Every now and then I have a kid feeling and I enjoy reading young adult. And there are young adult books that really speak to me, that I really, really enjoy. And I'm like, this is 5 stars, this is 4 stars. But every now and then I pick up a young adult book and it's like very young adult and I am just not the audience for it. So in good faith, I can't give it a rating. I think if you are a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, this book would be really good for you. I am just not in that space. This book is quite simple. There's not really a heavy plot. Everything moves very quickly, very instant. It's just a very young adult book. And so there wasn't a lot I could take from it. There are little quotes, so I don't want to spoil the book, but she's writing a book for the next person who comes along who has the powers that she has. And some of the quotes that she has in her books are actually really, really good. I think this book is really well written. But once again, like I said, I think it would have a better effect on someone younger or someone in a different place. I do like the idea of this world, this idea of the witches controlling the seasons. It's so interesting. In a book like this, the witches don't do anything. They don't have any real powers over society. In a book like this, they're kind of protectors. And then in this book, they have control over nature. So it's really cool to see in these witch books the different, ways the authors take on witches and their powers. I thought that was really interesting. I will say this book is just very somber. This is just a very somber book. I said in the intro that I wanted books to be a little serious and not too whimsy. Like I wanted there to be a balance, and I think when it comes to a balance, I think this book struck a chord more in the balance. This book had the witchy whimsiness, but also the plot. I just don't think it was done that well. I think I like the tone of this book the most, and I like the tone of this book the least. This book was just, like I said, very, very somber. So if I had to just give a personal rating of this book, I would give this book like a 2.75. Like it just wasn't for me, but I don't think that's fair. It just wasn't for me. Like, I'm going to unhaul this book at the end of the year. I would have never picked up this book today. I bought this book 4 years ago. I wouldn't pick this book up today. And so it just wasn't something I had to read. Another book that I wouldn't pick up today is The Witchery. The only reason why I would pick up this book, and maybe the reason why I picked up this book when I purchased it. When did this book come out? This book came out in 2022, so it's not that much younger than this book. I probably knew a black author wrote this, and that's why I picked up this book. I saw the black witches on the cover, but Kenya Today would also not pick up this book, so I gave it a 2.5, and I do think my issues with it are real issues with the book, but like 2 books that Kenya Today just wouldn't gravitate towards. I probably will keep this book because you guys know I like to keep books from black authors, and you never know when you want to revisit or reference, or someone's like, I want a black witch story. Well, let me show you this. Maybe this one will work for you. And then I think the best book objectively that I read in this vlog was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I would read the sequel to this book. Now, they're going to have a little bit more to do. I told you guys, when it comes to cozy fantasy, the girls don't be doing nothing in the books, and I be getting bored very easily. Like, it's one of those, like, the journey is the destination, and it's like, no, I need a real destination. Like, we need to get somewhere. And this book there was a purpose to this book. I just needed it to have a little bit more bounce to it. So I gave this book 3.75 stars. 3.75 stars, and I would read the sequel for this. But altogether, boy, was this not a great one. We had 2 5 stars in the last vlog. There was absolutely no way we were going to win again in this vlog. I wasn't expecting to. All of these books were on my bookshelf, and I just wanted to be able to say that I read them. I'm so happy I got to them, and like, they're done. I read them. So anyways, that is the end of this one. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.